Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Harrison, and welcome to the session Personal Branding for Leaders. This is all about leadership and why personal branding is important and what we can do about it. I'm the co-founder of the Gold Zone Group, and we're a small group of companies. We have a medical clinic, a wellness center, we have a technology company, we have an investment company. What else do we have? And we have a leadership center, which happens to be our favorite project because everything in life revolves around leadership. And this is helping people in three areas. We help people with their personal development, with their leadership development, professional development, and their business development. So those three things are what we're all about with the Gold Zone Leadership Center. And joining me today is Victoria. Welcome, Victoria. She is the CEO of the Gold Zone Group. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you, Harrison. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So yes, like Harrison said, my name is Victoria. I'm the CEO of the Gold Zone Group. We are actually very excited to talk about personal branding for leaders today, and how we can, really. I look forward to the discussion why personal branding is so important in today's world, especially in the digital world. How do we stand out and offer what we know, offer our values to the public using
Yes.
personal branding?
Yes, indeed. And how this session is going to work, we are going to have a conversation between Victoria and I. We have no slides today. We're not communicating this subject like we're experts teaching you how to do it. We're just sharing our experiences.
That's
What
right.
has worked for us, what has not, some of the learnings we've had, some of the disasters. Oh my God. And there's a lot of you who are here. Welcome, who are here for our weekly sessions. This is number 8, I believe, of weekly, conversations with Victoria and Harrison. So, Victoria, why did you want to talk about personal branding today?
Well, I guess from my point of view, I've been sharing daily on LinkedIn, and that I feel that as I share more, I see the benefit of doing more personal branding and writing more. And like this morning I was talking about getting attention, and that in life, if we don't get the attention, basically without attention nothing happens. And I think a big part of personal branding is attention. And if we want to succeed in anything in life, in the next, I don't know for how many years, the future is about personal branding, and we got to share ourselves out there to be able to attract the like-minded people that whether we want to work with, or potential clients, potential work with, can be vendors, can be investors, can be team member, whether you're employer, employee, entrepreneur, solopreneur. It doesn't matter what you're doing. How do people get to know me? How do people get to know you if we don't share with other people? And I feel that, with technology and social media, it really does make it a lot easier, even though the competition is steep.
Competition is very, very steep. So
Yes.
what is personal branding, Victoria? What is it? Because when I think of branding, I grew up on a farm, a dairy farm milking cows. Obviously now I'm in the city and I haven't been on the farm for a long time. But in a farming context, branding is not a positive thing. You take your cattle and you heat up an iron and you brand them with your farm's logo, and they are now
God,
branded, So that's the branding. So you're
that doesn't sound
identified.
good to me.
It doesn't sound good.
Not
So
at all.
in terms of branding, we're all familiar with corporate brands like Nike and Apple, and now NVIDIA with AI. And so brands are products and companies that we love. And then personal brands are people that we love, we know, love, and not just love, because today we're going to talk about some of them that we might hate. And some people think that, it's got to be positive. So you want positive attention, but actually I was commenting to Victoria before we started the session that there's no such thing as negative attention. There is negative attention, but it's all good in terms of branding, because if people aren't talking about you,
Not known.
you're invisible. If no one knows who you are, what you do, what your expertise is, what you have to offer, you're going to hear crickets. What a lot of us are faced with is crickets.
I can't make cricket sound, sorry. Not
when
very good.
When I started posting on LinkedIn and other social media, crickets. Oh my God, crickets. Chirp, chirp, chirp. It's good if you have crickets, right?
Yeah, at least there's some sound, some noise. The worst is when there's silent.
Yeah. So how about you? You got crickets when you started?
Oh my God, yes. Lots of crickets. And I think it's really it's not that easy overall, but like what Harrison said, what we are going to do today is we are just going to share with you our experiences, the ups and the downs, and the fun along the way. Like between the two of us, we are both doing our own personal branding, and sometimes actually a lot of times it's fun to be competing with each other and like a racehorse. So I actually enjoy that very much.
Hey, any of you here love competition? You can type in the chat, I love competition. I love to compete and I love to win, because losing sucks.
Yeah.
Losing sucks big time. And, you know, with Victoria and my competition, I used to be ahead of her. I had more followers. And then she was posting more often than me. I'd post, you know, like once a month or something, like really infrequent. I'd post, they'd go disappear, you know. And so Victoria started posting every day. So we had a horse race, and she's catching up, and her engagement went up. And so we would have a lot of fun between us.
I'm like the tortoise.
Oh, you're hardly a tortoise.
Slowly.
Not exactly a tortoise, more like a flash. Vroom. And so we've both been having fun with it. And we find, in terms of posting on social media, if you have other people that you're doing it with, it's a lot more fun than doing it on your own with your own good ideas, because I'm sure some of you have had this experience. The ideas sounded real good in your mind at 3 o'clock in the morning when you wrote it up. Oh, yes, it looks good. That sounds great. Really nice story. Well delivered. Oh, people are going to love it. And then you post, chirp, chirp, chirp.
Yeah. That sucks, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So let's start here, Victoria, with the overall idea of a brand. What is it? And I'll share my point of view of what it is, and then we'll hear from you. Sound good?
Sounds great.
So to me, a personal brand is about you, and we all have a personal brand. That means that people know us, they relate to us in a certain way, they have a relationship with us. And I think of brands as relationships. That's the first thing that really stands out to me. It's a relationship. So people have a relationship with you that might be one way. They might not necessarily converse or interact with you that much, but they have some perception of you. They have some idea of who you are, what you stand for, what you do, what you have to offer, what your expertise is. This may happen around a water cooler, when you're in the office chatting, social settings, when you just chit-chat with people. They'll form an impression of you. And this impression is also formed by people that you work for, whether you're a business owner and you have stakeholders, your investors, your employees, your clients. These people all have an impression of you, who you are, what you stand for, and what your expertise is. Now, in the old days, it would all be small village, and, you know, when we would meet for social things, people would get to know us and we'd know people in the village. But then with industrialization, it's all revolving around the workplace. So people that we would work with, socialize with, grow up with, would all know us. And then what's happened with the internet and the explosion of social media is that we're able to communicate with more people at a greater scale and have these relationships, preferably two-way, but many of them are one way. People see you, and your brand is made up of how they relate to you, whether you talk to them or not. So a lot of people, they have this warm relationship with you, even though they might not have talked to you, and that's part of your brand. So why that's important is your circle of influence in the old days would be the people you interact with. And with social media, you can add value, help people, demonstrate your expertise to a larger circle of people, and more people can know what you have to offer, who you are, what you stand for. Because one interaction, how much you're going to learn about someone? Not much. And we'll hear from you, Victoria, and then I'll describe how this applies for people who are looking for a job or looking for clients, and why it's so important to be clear what you stand for, who you are, where you're going, what your vision is, and what value you bring to the world. Because if we're confused, how are we going to expect our audience to be clear if we're confused? So we've got to be clear first, inside out.
Agreed.
Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you. So for me, right, there's so much to talk about when it comes to personal branding. But in short, I would say that in the past, I've never really understood branding. But the first thing that came to my mind was McDonald's. Because when we were younger, those of us who have been around, for some time, we used to see McDonald's advertisement every single day. And that it's sort of like the brand, gets stick into our mind. And you can't help but associate, like in the past would be, I don't know, my favorite was fish fillet from McDonald's in the past. And that every time I think about fish fillet, I'll associate that with McDonald's. So for me, that's like Harrison said, corporate branding. And fast track to today, I think the world has changed a lot. That people are getting, I spoke about this some time ago, we become more sophisticated. We want more personalization. We like to buy or work with people that we know, that we feel that we can relate to them. We don't want to just buy or work with people from a company brand point of view, but we want to work with people that we like. And I think that part is a big part of a personal brand, that you feel that can resonate with the people who represent, whether the company or the employer that you're going to work for, or even team member that you're looking for. I think those are some of the factors that really impact personal branding a lot. And that's why it's such a huge thing now.
That's very good. So you said people want to work with people they like.
Yeah.
And if they don't know them, they're not going to like them, are they?
Yeah.
So they have to.
They want to work with like-minded people who are, who they feel that they resonate with their values.
Right. And how do you tell if someone resonates with your values today when we're in a world of hyper competition and we have AI that is presenting a lot of videos and audios and text? So how do we know we're not dealing with an AI, which is not even a human being?
Yeah. Is that a question for me?
Well, it's a rhetorical question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a question for everybody, because this is a big part of the problem.
Yes. I think from that point of view, right, how do we know we are dealing with a human being? I shared a few of my posts that from, when we are writing on LinkedIn, being real and being authentic is actually very important, because that's how people know that they are actually relating to you as a human being. And that's what differentiates us from AI, because AI tend to be more standard. The way, at the moment, the way AI, if you try to generate your writing through AI, that is quite, they have a certain way of writing that makes it quite obvious that it's not my direct voice.
Yeah. So do you use AI in any of your writing?
No, I don't.
And neither do I. I don't use AI for writing.
We tried though.
Yep.
We tried for a while. It didn't work because, and it doesn't feel, for me, it doesn't feel like, even though it sounds great, because AI can be quite tricky the way they phrase your writing, but it just doesn't sound like me. And I can see that it won't connect to people in general. It sounds great, too perfect. It sounds too perfect.
Yeah. And what makes us human is all our flaws, isn't it?
Yeah.
until AI is able to replicate our flaws, and maybe eventually they'll be able to present it as a, pretty close copy of a real person, and we won't be able to tell. This is a scary world, because what makes us unique now is our personality and all the experiences we've had and the things we have in common with each other.
Yes.
I don't want to talk to an AI. I don't want to talk to an AI on a website. I don't want to call a company and talk to an AI. I don't want anything to do with AI. And I'm a technology guy, and I love technology. And I love to ask AI questions and interface with AI and get help for specific things like that, but not for writing and not for relationships, because we want to deal with people, isn't it? And what happens if you are using AI to help you to do writing or to comment on people's posts, because we notice that a lot too. Some people don't comment themselves here on LinkedIn. They use their AI to do it. And I find this very off-putting. And I know exactly who's doing it and who isn't, because you can recognize the pattern.
Yes.
And a real person and a real relationship feels different. So whenever you interact with Victoria or myself, you are getting a real person, and any of our content is written by us as people. And then we have the struggles of what to write, how to express it. And we all find, as I'm sure you all do, when you're writing content or creating videos or whatever, that it's not an easy thing to do, to take your idea and express it in a way that connects with people and that is authentic to you. So you can express yourself in a way that people can relate to and build that relationship where people get to know you.
Yes. And the good part about that is that with LinkedIn, right, you can write. Obviously, algorithm. Like for me, I find that morning is the best time for me. For some people, it might be different, but generally, morning is a great time to post, and you can reply the comment anytime you want to build that relationship at whatever time that is convenient for you to respond to people. And there's no rush to comment on anything, even though my understanding is that if you comment fast enough, you will gain more traction.
It seems to be that way.
Yeah.
And also, when a person comments on your post, if you take a day or two or a week to reply, you might forget.
Yes.
And they've forgotten. They've forgot you already. They forgot what they said. They forgot the post. They forgot the essence. So isn't the best time to have a conversation, a relationship right now?
Yeah. Agreed. So Harrison, we have a question from Kwan.
Yeah.
Are you able to bring up the question?
On my screen, I can't see. I can only see a few comments. For some reason, they're not coming up.
Okay. So Kwan asked a good question. Do you think personal branding is a good tool for leaders to motivate their team, clarify their visions, and possibly achieve other objectives as well? And perhaps we could expand to the house.
Well, I think everybody needs to have their personal brand. Everybody in an organization, doesn't matter what your level is. And the leadership needs to lead by demonstrating it themselves and not telling everybody what they should do. You know, the leaders who will do one thing and then tell everyone else to do something different. Well, we all know that's not authentic. So if we want everybody to do personal branding, then we have to make an example of ourselves. And that's what I think. Everybody should do it. What about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Everybody should do it. And I think just to address his question, because he talked about motivating team, is a good tool to motivate team, clarify their visions, and achieve objective. I feel that it is a great tool because sometimes, we have meeting daily, and at the same time, you can't really share everything during the meeting. So sometimes the meeting can touch on certain things. And from LinkedIn, from social media, as you share the different content, you can use that as an opportunity to share, to clarify vision, to talk about things that can be inspiring and motivating your internal team and potentially external stakeholders. So I think it's a great tool. because
Well,
your team will get to know you more. You can't be talking to them all day long. So through your posting and through your sharing, yes,
Yeah.
they will get to know you more, and you can find more resonance within that context.
How hard is it to create a vision? It's not that easy. So let's say you create this vision, or you co-create it with the team, and then you have new team members who weren't part of the creation process. Then you want to share that vision more widely than the people who created it. How are you going to share the vision in a way that people can feel, touch, taste, smell, and relate to, and know how it impacts them? Well, this takes telling a story about the vision and why it's relevant, how it was created, what the impact is, why anyone should care. And those stories can't be just a 2-minute video, because that's easily forgotten. The story needs to be told on an ongoing basis and needs to be updated and evolve and include all those stakeholders. And it's a wonderful opportunity for engaging everybody, engaging all the stakeholders in the story and sharing people's stories of how it impacts them. That's
Yep.
all branding, isn't it?
Yes, agree.
So
Yeah.
go on.
So Angie said that I like to connect with humans, not AI. I mean, we all yearn for connection, and of course, that's the best, right? If you can connect with human being, you have that real connection between people to people. I feel that that's really something that, at least for now, AI can't replace. And Ferry said that Ferry Chang, he say watched CNA Insider a few days ago about deepfake, but it's personal. It's touching the subject of personal branding. How can you identify a deepfake? Are all deepfakes scam? Is it fake? Or okay, Harrison, you have anything to say to that?
Well, the thing with deep fakes is they're going to get better and better and better, and they're going to
Yeah,
be more and more difficult to detect. And I think that building a relationship over time with people is the solution. And it's not just about having relationships online with people that you've never met. It's great to meet people in person, or to interact with people who have met people in person, and to have it from multiple points of view in multiple places, rather than you just get a video,
yeah,
one video or one audio. So I think that this is going to make the one-on-one in-person meetings more important, where you're going
yes,
to meet people in addition to the other mediums that you can communicate with and scale up everything.
yeah, agree. Actually, it reminds me of, for many years, Harrison has been saying to me, has been talking about relationship marketing and educational marketing. And at that time, so for is and something that he has been advocating is that you always got to educate your client. And to me, LinkedIn is a great platform to do that, to use the platform to build relationship and to educate our clients through our sharing. In this case, we are talking about clients. Or if you are looking for a career opportunity, you should be educating a potential employer who you are, what you stand for, and why they should hire you, why you are the best talent for them to hire.
Yes,
Same thing with company to employees. Why should quality employees and talented employees join you? So it's part
yes,
of education and relationship building.
yes, 100%. And on the employee front, we are currently hiring for a managing director for one of our Singapore projects, as well as a sales director and relationship managers. And we have thousands of applicants for these roles. And what happens is that most people, when they make an application, they do it through LinkedIn, and they do the minimum. They just apply. And then other people, LinkedIn gives them the tools to go click, 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 and send an automated message. Now, we've got enough of those to know when someone's doing the automated message. And the people who take the time to write a personal introduction to themselves, send a personal note, it's such a minority. So people who make personal connections really stand out. And then, Victoria and I are the ones doing the recruiting, and we're the ones who are going to make the decision as to who gets hired and who doesn't, and etc. And how few people, there's a lot of people who are looking for jobs, but it's so few, such a minority of people who will engage with us as a real person with our content, because you can get to know us quite a lot through our content, and you can talk to us. We are there. We would reply to comments. We will chit chat and get in a conversation and get to know each other. And then that's our content. But what about yours? So if I go to your profile, if you applied for a role and I go to your profile, is it crickets there? Do you have a banner? Do you have a proper photo? Do you have a good description? Do you have a clear outline of what roles you've had and what value you bring and what you do and what you stand for? Because most people, they suck in their profile. They have these gaps of years. You don't know what they did. And then they over promote themselves. Oh, I led a team of no one, and they're applying for a team leadership position. And if you have a gap in your resume, that's easy to explain. But if you don't bother to explain it, you're left, like this one goes in the too hard basket. So if you're looking for a job, I think it's actually quite easy to get a job. But, a lot of people might pounce on me and say, Harrison, you live in a la-la land because it's real hard with all the competition. And I'm saying there are a lot of people looking for jobs. That's true. There are lots of them. There's always more people looking for jobs than there's jobs available. True. But if you're on the hiring end, there are so few extraordinary people. Most people are average, boring, mediocre, have no personality, and can't deliver. And if they get a spotlight on them, they freak out. So all you got to do is commit to being a little bit extraordinary and going the extra mile. Put in some enthusiasm. Be persistent. Follow up. Follow through. It's not hard to do, is it, Victoria?
Yeah. I think it's yes, that part it seems to be hard for a lot of people. Well, it's a bit like, when you write on LinkedIn, right? It is you got to, to make it more effective, at least from my experience, replying to comment is important. And to, that's one part. The second part is replying to comment with putting in thoughts on what to reply, and not just the basic dry toast reply.
So on that note, Victoria, if you have several hundred likes on a post and you have 100 or more comments on a post, replying to 100 comments, and if you're going to do it thoughtfully, and then if the person replies to your reply, then that's just going to blow out. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does take a bit of time.
So the people who are chasing the vanity metrics of going for the maximum likes, maybe they're just making themselves feel good by having metrics that look good, but what's the intention behind it? Because if we're clear why we are posting in the first place, why we are curating our brand, thinking about how we want to come across, who we want to impact, who we want to be seen by, who we want to build a relationship with. And I really dislike, from a marketing point of view, when people say your target client, because none of us like to have a target on our backs, do we? A target or a dollar sign on the forehead where, let's see who we're targeting. And I'm like, creepy. So if you have an ideal audience or an ideal profile of who it is and who you are, like if you're an engineer and then you want to build your profile on LinkedIn, you want to develop your personal brand, why do you want to do it? What for? Let's say you already have a job and people already know you and you're already well paid. What's your purpose for being there? Oh, I just want to share my knowledge. Why? Why do you want to share your knowledge? Because if you just go giving advice, you're going to get crickets, because the internet's full of advice. So why do you want to do it? Let's say you want to have more career opportunities and you want to demonstrate what you know. Well, that's a good reason to do it. So then you would create content with that purpose in mind, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Well, yes, the clarity of what you're posting, why you post what you post, and who you want to attract to read your post, and what's going to happen after. If you're not, for me, that clarity is that important, because if I don't know who I want to attract, and I don't really know why I'm here, and I post it because it feels good to, have some connection. It can be, yeah, it will become a hit and miss.
So then if you, let's say you go viral and have, hundreds and thousands of likes and engagements, and then you're not going to be able to build the relationships, and it's a complete waste of time because people will forget you tomorrow and on with the next thing. So isn't it better to have fairly steady growth, growing engagement, and engagement is measured by likes, comments, and shares, and it's in the comments where you actually get to know each other, and people will comment in a meaningful way, and you'll reply, then you can direct message, and you can build these relationships with people that take time to develop. It's not a, like
You
you
mean
have overwhelm right now.
it's like life?
It's, yes, it's like life, isn't it? It's just
Not
an
a get
extension of
branding
life.
quick.
And the people who post and buy my product, this is so great, attend my seminar, buy my coaching, get my consulting, buy my, whatever it is, this is very off-putting because it's in your face, and none of us like that in the face because there's no relationship building. And that's why when people are looking for a job and they'll message and just say, I want to meet with you, I just want 15 minutes of your time. Well, if 1,000 people want 15 minutes of your time, how's that going to happen? It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's why
KKK.
it's about standing out, right? Why should people give you the attention? What can we do? What can you do? What can I do? What can you do to stand out from everyone else?
Yes.
And I just want to read one comment by Bhuvi Valley. And what is that? Personal branding is the future of marketing in upcoming years. But B2B business owners are less involved to build their own branding. Let me know what is the reason behind it. Either they don't have time or they are unaware of it. And the second, yeah, maybe we talk about one thing at a time.
Yes. Well, I think the reason that business owners are less on it is because it's hard to do and you're busy and you don't see the benefit. You have to see the benefit. It's hard to do and it takes a lot of time. And the learning curve when you start out doing it is quite extreme for most of us. A lot of people say to me that they're not very good at writing. They suck at video. They don't want to do video. They don't sound very good. They don't like the way they talk, or when they play themselves back, they don't like the way they write. And so this stops a lot of people being self-conscious. So
yeah. Also, if they are already having steady stream of revenue from the existing clients or from referrals, they have no incentive to do it now. But the problem is that it's a little bit like, which company was that? Kodak, right? Was that Kodak that went bust? Which company?
Kodak did go bust.
Kodak,
Yeah.
that they didn't believe in digital camera, and it was too late by the time they realized it.
You know what the joke is, Victoria?
Yeah, no.
Kodak invented the digital camera.
Oh my God.
The first digital cameras were for Kodak, but
Oh my God.
they didn't think it would go anywhere. They didn't think anyone would use it.
Yeah.
So, it was the Japanese that took the idea, mass produced it, and put Kodak out of business.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
That's so funny. Yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
Not that funny, but it's interesting. Ironical. That's how
It's ironic. They were stuck in a paradigm. And a lot of small and medium business owners are in that paradigm.
Yeah.
And, they think different from our MNCs and from professionals. So
Yeah.
MNCs think one way, medium businesses think another, small businesses think another. Then you have your solopreneurs and your professionals, and they're all different thinking. But if you're looking for business and you want to grow your company, grow your sales, and make more money and have a bigger impact, then you've got to think about what your brand is, how you're communicating, how you're expressing, and then infusing that theme all the way through all of your different marketing pieces, materials, collaterals, how you answer the phone, how you interact with people when you walk into the store. I like to say here in Singapore, when you go to certain shops, the people don't greet you very well. They grunt at you. Hello. It's not very warm. That's part of their brand, isn't it?
Yes. Exactly.
So the enthusiasm or lack thereof that you are greeted with has an impression on you, because we all want to go to places that make us feel good. And when they make us feel good with a warm, genuine smile and a welcome and treat you special, I mean, that's all you need. Yeah, shower them with money because that's what you like to do with your money. Vote for places and people that make you feel good.
Exactly. And I think with just to go back to the comment from Bhuvi, if you don't know if you are working with this B2B owner and trying to help them with personal branding, what you need is actually educating them and understanding you got to go through it's like anything. If they are not aware and if they don't understand the benefit, you got part of the process is to understand, the cost of them, helping them to see the cost of them not starting now. And if they can see the cost of not studying now, they have a higher chance of doing something. If they can't see the cost, they are happily making the money they want. There's no way they're going to do anything. Why put in all the hard work to get started and I'm going to learn new things? Most people don't like to do it.
So what you're saying is that you have to communicate the benefit and the cost.
Correct.
So the benefit of doing it and the cost of not doing it. And
in a way that they can see it, not how you see it, but how they see it.
Right.
And that's personal branding is part of why we write what we write, is to help people see us in a way that we want to see and in a way that they can see.
So let me ask you, Victoria, why do people not want to be seen? Because a lot of people don't want to share their personal stories because they don't want people to know them. And they don't want people to know, that they had a moment of terror, or that they had a breakdown, or that they were depressed, or that they made a big balls up and lost a lot of money, or they had a whole lot of public humiliation. What stops people from doing that?
Oh, so easy. I used to have all this fear. Well, it's very simple. It's fear of, there's so many different fear that are quite common among many people. It doesn't matter how successful someone is, or the fear of looking stupid, the fear of looking sharing. Maybe it's not even a secret. It's just what we judge ourselves about. If I have judgment about some things that I did or didn't do, then I'm going to have a hard time sharing it. And also, at least in the Asian culture, talking about should I say negative, or talking about failure is not exactly something that has been encouraged in the past. People are starting to do more now, but it's still a big taboo, if you ask me. It's not easy to talk about failure. And so there are two things when we talk about failure. First is how are other people going to see me? Second is, when I talk about my failure, if I haven't got over it, then I'm going to face my feeling around what I feel at. So these two things will stop people big time.
And then that fear will clam up your idea generation machine, and then you can't write stories about things because of this fear gets in the way of how people are going to perceive you, and fear of rejection, basically.
Yes, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being criticized, and not knowing what to do with those. It's in our mind we make up what other people are going to say about what we write, and it stopped. Just that fear already stopped. It will stop a lot of people from even starting to write.
So doing the process of actually doing it is a great personal development tool, because it's going to have you getting over whatever you haven't gotten over yet. And you got to put yourself out there, and you got to tell the story, and you got to share it in a way that people get some value and can connect with it.
Yeah. And then from that fear, if I try to look a certain way, and then I become not myself. And I don't know, I think there's a feeling to it when I try to create a certain personality or a certain image that might not be 100% me in real life. I think it's not as easy.
So you're saying that if someone wants to present or themselves in a way that makes them look the best that they can, and there's this big gap between the real them and the one they present online, it can cause some problems.
Yes.
And the easiest way to handle that is to bridge
That's
that
true.
gap. So
Yes.
there's no gap between who you are online, offline, between your telephone manner, your in-person manner, and if people went for a drink with you or had a meal with you, you're going to be exactly the same. And I can tell you, for those of you who know Victoria and I, we are exactly the same online, offline. Having a chat like this between Victoria and I, with you all participating, observing and typing in the chat and putting questions and comments after the session is over and sharing with people, you're gonna see we are exactly the same in all mediums, because we've worked very hard, very diligently to be our real selves, and that our heads and our hearts is all lined up.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get the real authentic stuff from us. And for some people, when you say, oh, the best advice is just be yourself, this can be terrible advice, because if someone is cranky, you're saying, well, is that you, or is that, you have a mood issue? So if you have a mood issue, you're supposed to show up depressed or moody or what? No, this is to show up your best self, isn't it? Because why do you want to bring your worst self to people? You want to bring your best self.
Exactly. And with the intention to uplift the people that you talk to, you interact with. And because what's the point of bringing, because I have my best self, I have my worst self. So I'm not going to bring my worst self and into the social media, but I can talk about it in terms of how I get through it. That's very different.
Well, and if you're not hiding it and you're not
Yeah.
pretending like you don't have that,
Yeah.
and you can own it and you can share it, then that makes life a whole lot easier, because there's no act and there's no gap between the act and the real you. There's just the real you in every different scenario. And I think this personal branding and showing up on social media is a great way to help you to bridge that, you
Yeah.
being all of us.
Yeah. I think since our main focus is personal branding for leaders, I would say that that's probably the other thing that makes it harder for leaders who are in a certain position in terms of being vulnerable and sharing their real story is not as easy, because a lot of leaders have this idea that I need to have all the answers, or I need to look a certain way. If I come across this way, how are my employees or my team going to see me? So there is a fair share of consideration. And I was just talking about this with someone, a business owner, the other day, that or did I comment on LinkedIn that as a CEO, right, sometimes when you have challenges, it's not that easy to talk about your challenges with you can't share your challenges with your team. They won't understand, because the level of commitment and the level of responsibility are very different. So the only way you can share your challenge is with someone who can understand you, who have been through what you have been through, to be safe enough to get through that, to talk about it, so that you can get the necessary support. Because what we want as a leader, what I want for my team, or what we want for our team, is to give them confidence, not have them feel like something is wrong. But I'm not saying, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that going through challenges is wrong. I'm just saying that people's perception of challenges can be, they can make it, if they are more negative and they don't understand, from their point of view it can be a negative thing. But from my point of view, it might not be negative. It's just, whatever challenge I'm going through now, I just need to get a solution for it.
Doesn't that depend on your company culture and your culture as a leader? Because what kind of team do you want? Do you want a team that you have to be perfect and you have to show up with all the answers and everything sits on your shoulders? That's very lonely. And I think a lot of leaders complain that it's lonely, because that's exactly the way that they view it. It is very isolating.
Yeah.
And with this conversation of personal leadership and personal branding, I think it's an opportunity to open up and share behind the curtain into the boardroom what the challenges are when you're making tough decisions, and to include people in the decisions that impact them along the way, and to share what led up to it and how you feel about it. Not after you've laid off 10,000 people, you go on video crying, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I mean, this is gross mismanagement if you have to do that. And then you have to have some kind of mea culpa and some way forward. But, sharing your process and including people, then they feel, like you care. Because if you don't come across as you care, well, who wants to work with someone who doesn't care? And sadly, a lot of people don't care. They care more about the bottom line and how they look than about people. And we all want to work with clients, vendors, stakeholders, investors, team members, and leaders who care about us as people, that we matter to them. Our feelings matter to them. Our welfare matters to them. And so many organizations talk the talk and jump on the latest bandwagon and don't actually mean it. They don't back it up with something real. It's like, I just give you one example just quickly, like a company that says we believe in well-being. Meanwhile, they expect you to work extra hours for no benefit and, but offer you therapy. So like company-sponsored therapy for your stress, but then they're not doing anything to systemically solve the root cause of the problem. So they just load you up with more stress and then want to send you to more therapy. So the problem is you, rather than looking at how they do it. And so this whole personal branding thing, I think that will stop people from getting in there and having open discussions, because they don't want two-way. They want one way. I'll tell you, one rule for me, another rule for you. But this is an opportunity for a democracy, isn't it? It goes two ways.
Yeah, exactly. So I think leadership set the tone, and part of personal branding is setting the vision, setting the culture, and there are right people for the right role. There are right people for the right company. So as long as you can resonate, there's no right or wrong.
Yes.
To me, that's really the bottom line. There's no right or wrong. You just have to get the right people, because some people, some employees just want to go to a company, get a paycheck, go home, and not want to be engaged. They're happy to just do that. And if you're a company that's like that, that can be your culture. That's not a problem.
Yep. Victoria, I just want to do a quick shout out to Roy. I don't know if you're still here, Roy, but it's great to see you on our session here. And if any of you are interested in more branding, Roy does a great job of expressing brands, and a lot of information Roy posts and shares. And I've joined some of his audio sessions. He does a great job of facilitating them. I enjoy them a lot. Except, hey, Roy, some of the hours you do it is at 5 a.m. my time. And that's the only reason I don't, join you more. But I really like them, and I'm happy to see you here. And I agree with what you said. This is Roy here. I'll put him up, about building relationships is a marathon, which means it's a long run, not a sprint.
Yes.
So that's Roy. Thank you so much for being here. And then we can get to some of the other questions and comments. Victoria?
Yeah. I'm just looking at, so Angie says that yes, fear of being judged by others, especially in Asian culture. It is especially in Asian culture, but I do believe that it is most culture, even the Western
most cultures,
culture,
but particularly acute.
Yes.
Because how you look in your face is more important, more
correct.
critical for Asian cultures.
Yeah, like American has this success culture that we all got to, it's a very aggressive approach towards looking a certain way that, I'm working hard, I'm going for it, I'm motivated, I am this, and this. That is very American culture. And I think we, to a large extent, we pick that up, and we end up being that way too. Can be a little bit over aggressive. I'm not against that, because I can be aggressive too. But at what cost, though, sometimes?
Yeah. Well, the American culture is more success-oriented, but it celebrates failure. So if you have a go and you fail, you're celebrated. If you go bankrupt, great. You'll make a better investment next time because you learn from the process, which is very different from how failures are viewed in Asia, that it's you're branded with the failure instead of it being part of your learning.
That's the kind of branded we don't want, right?
That's right. And one tip I want to share with everyone to consider that has worked for me, and I've seen it work for a lot of people, is that if you have this issue with being judged, the fast track through that is to look at where you judge yourself.
Yep.
And so if we judge ourselves and we reject ourselves, then we have this fear of other people doing it externally. And if we can look at where that came from and we can get over ourselves and accept ourselves in all our flaws, with all our failures, with all our foibles and, screw ups, if we can accept ourselves as we are and love ourselves, then we don't have any judgment of ourselves, and then we don't judge other people. And the final thing, which is wonderful, is then we don't worry about people judging us. And people tend to judge us less, and when they do, it doesn't have an impact because we're not susceptible to it.
I agree.
That's the fast track.
That's actually my experience. It's a lot easier when I don't judge myself, because it's like, well, they can judge me all they want. All they want.
All they want, yeah.
All they want.
All you want is none.
Yeah, exactly. The most important person is me. If I don't judge myself, no one can really judge me. And I actually have more compassion when that happened, because I understand why because I have my fair share of judgment over the years, so I know why people judge. And that really does, understanding that, we call it clean slating that, right? Clean slating that really make a big difference to be free. We don't have to worry. There's no worry and fear. People can judge whatever they want.
Yes.
It's not them. It's not us. It's them.
Yep. Indeed.
And if I get impacted by it, then it's an opportunity for me to look at, well, what does that mean about why do I get triggered by what people say to me, or that particular comment, and I can go through a process to clean slate that feeling about myself, because the feeling is inside me, not them.
And that's really what stops a lot of people stepping up to leadership and putting themselves out there, because personal branding means you're going to put yourself out there. You're going to be seen. And a lot of us don't want to be seen on one hand, and on the other, we want to be seen. So we have this competing agenda. Excuse me, we have to get over that.
Exactly. So we have, shall we move on to the next comment?
Sure.
Once a person, this is Bhuvi Vali, once person build personal branding, the top advantages, clients come automatically connect with product and service without spending money for advertisement. I'm not sure about the automated part, but it does become a lot easier. They are more receptive. And yes, from an advertising point of view, at this moment, LinkedIn allows a lot of organic growth, which makes it the best time to start your content writing, because LinkedIn is in it for business. We don't know when they're going to start, charging whatever fees that they need to charge for the future. But at this point, while we can freely write our content and take advantage and leverage on the algorithm to create more like-minded followers, this is the best time to start. Clients easy, and then the next thing he or she talk about is that clients easy to know the process of the brand owner. It build trust and help develop. Yes, correct. It helps develop the relationship. Travis asked, will you foresee employees with strong personal branding having conflicts with their employers' corporate branding?
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes. If you're mindful of what side your bread is buttered, right? I mean, you're not going to go and brand in a conflict with your employer who's paying you, because they're not going to like it, and they're going to want to stop paying you, and they're going to want to say, go and do your own thing. Or
the company can talk to the employees knowing that they have a strong personal brand and have a clear expectation of each other, so that it doesn't become unclear.
So what you're saying is it just needs communication and coordination between the company and the employee.
Yeah, because you don't want them to stop their personal branding. And one of the reasons why some companies hire certain employees because of their strong personal branding.
Well, in terms of us, Victoria, someone who has a strong personal brand would be a, preferred candidate, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Yes.
And the stronger, the better. The more following, the more audience, because you can have a faster impact. You can have a quicker on-ramp.
Yes, absolutely. And Roy said, thank you for the shout out. You're very kind.
Not at all, Roy. Hopefully your followers will go up and more people will join your next session. We all like to help each other, right, Victoria?
Yes, correct.
And
That's
what I'd
the
like to
power
do,
of LinkedIn, that we are
what I'd like
helping
to
each
do,
other. Yeah.
sorry, Victoria, what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about your learning and what people can take away from it, from what you've done so far. Can you give us a summary of, you've had very good traction, very good, and you're in the rising star category. And when we first heard of the Favicon ratings for influencers, we checked in Singapore and you were number 25 in Singapore, and a rising star. And for having a few months into it, you've only been doing it a few months, you've made amazing progress. So what's a summary of what you have learned that people could take away? Because you do not give advice. You're not giving advice. You are doing a lot of sharing. And a lot of your fans are here. People have got to know you more from what you have posted. So go ahead.
Thank you. I think I shared some of this in some of my posts too. I just want to probably summarize my own learnings, which is, first of all, what makes it work for me is that I start with a commitment, and excuse me. So I committed to myself to write daily. Harrison, can you take over first? I'm just going to drink some water.
Okay, sure. I can answer that for you a little bit. I'll talk about your process while you're getting some water. You made a commitment to do it, and you said that you were going to post daily, and you were going to do it no matter what. And then you were going to master the medium, and you were going to practice and keep going until you got good at it, because what you wanted to do was you wanted to reach more people, you wanted to have more influence, you wanted to build longer term relationships. And what I observed is you wanted to you just really followed through on your commitment. Are you back now, or are you still coughing?
Yes, I'm back now.
Okay, so you can pick it up from there. So you made a commitment. Go on.
I made a commitment, and I'm very clear. I'm very clear why I'm on LinkedIn, why I want to do personal branding. And yes, for me, it's very much, like Harrison said, it's very much business reason. I want to attract like-minded stakeholders to join us on our mission. When it comes to leadership, I'm passionate about leadership, and I want to share my leadership learnings and journey through the process, and and that I want to, be able to educate the people who are interested to use leadership to solve their problem or fast track their goal, by understanding it from a different point of view. Because when we talk about leadership, we are not just talking about professional and business leadership. We're talking about personal, professional, and business leadership. Why they are all interconnected. So you might see that in a lot of my content, and so that's one thing. And so I do, because I committed, and what I did was I commit publicly. That's what I want to do, 5 times a week. And I decided to just sit down and do it every single day. And I can't say I forced myself to do it, because it's a subject that that I'm very passionate about. So when I write it, right, I feel that part of my learning process is also, the more I can write it, the more I can own my own lesson in my leadership journey. And of course, having people engaging, it helps me to, it's a very good encouragement for me to keep going. And meanwhile, I connected with a lot of people around the world, and able to have real connection, able to talk to them, help a few people with a few things here and there, and build a relationship. And some people are interested in what we have to offer. So far, I've been having a lot of positive response, and that's why it also kept me going. And have I gotten I didn't get, I can't say I get a negative response, but there are times where I really struggle with what to write today, because there's so many things that I want to write, but I don't know which one is going to connect and relate to people the most. But what drives me is the clarity. Every time I want to write something, I want to make sure that whatever I'm writing today is going to add value to someone. And
It
what
shows.
helped me with my content is I find inspiration all around me, whether it's through watching drama series, talking to Harrison, talking to other people, clients, talking to stakeholder. I mean, it's like with my children, listening to music, driving, looking around. I get inspiration all over the place, and whatever that touch my heart is something that I will share.
Yes. What I notice, Victoria, is that you get up at 5 a.m. and work on it. So you get up early, and you're not particularly a morning person.
No,
You
I'm not.
prefer to get up late. So to fit it into your day, you get up extra early, 5 a.m. for you, and you have quiet time, and you have a spot where you do your writing and a different spot for where you do your commenting. So you don't write and comment in the same place. So you have a routine, and you've developed a habit, and then you have developed a style and a way of expressing yourself where your voice is really coming through. And I observe you've made a lot of deep connections with people over time, and people following your posts, and even people who you didn't know they were on LinkedIn. You meet them in person and they say, oh, I saw your post about this and this and this. And you didn't even know they were there, and they didn't comment and they didn't like it. So there was no engagement. But in the offline world, you're getting a lot of very positive feedback. And no, you don't get a lot of trolls.
No.
It doesn't seem to be a problem for you. And yeah, so that's what I noticed that you're doing. And for people who are following you, you have regular followers, and people really have some very emotional engagement with you. So it's not superficial. And this I really like, is that you're not writing superficial stuff. You're not giving advice. You're not giving pop psychology. You're not telling anyone what to do. You are sharing your experiences and what you learned from it. And then there's a lot to be gained from that.
Yeah. Yes, agree.
Congratulations. Very well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you. And I think, given the timing, I want to encourage everyone to be, for those of you who are really interested in, I would say you want to get your voice out there. You want to, you want people to be able to learn more about you, understand you while you build your profession or business. This is really a fantastic platform to write and to, adjust, adapt, and learn from other people. There are many, there's so many tips on LinkedIn from different great content creator. Some of them do a good job to give you the tips. You just have to follow one tip at a time.
Yep. And Victoria, I want to say, now that there's 1 billion users on LinkedIn, please don't post anything.
Yeah.
Don't write. Don't get busy creating a personal brand, because it's so busy already. And the more of us that get on there, the more crowded it's going to be, and the more competition there's going to be. And there's this saying that's attributed to a Chinese, what do you call them, idiom, which is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And
Yeah.
the second best time is now.
Yeah.
So now is the time. I was joking before about don't do it. It's for all the contrarians out there.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's for the contrarians out there. You want to get on there. The more the merrier. The more deep and meaningful relationships you can build over time with people that matter to you and you matter to them, and show up in a way that people know that you care. Because there's nothing better for a human relationship than to deal with people who actually give a fuck. And on that note, Victoria, anything you want to say on the way out? Because we are out of time.
We are out of time. Well, on the way out, I just want to say that I will see more of you on LinkedIn, and for us to connect more with your post, with my post, for those of you who are interested. And if we are not connected yet, let's connect.
Yes, sounds good. And next Wednesday.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, Harrison, for co-hosting with me. It has been
Thank
fun.
you, Victoria. And next Wednesday, we'll have another session. We haven't picked a topic for next Wednesday, but every week we have a different subject related to leadership. And let's see what we do next week. Maybe it's time to do stress, but we'll discuss later and let everybody know. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. This is Harrison and Victoria, over and out. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.